Hey guys, guess what? We're back.
Backstage?
No, not backstage, but back on the show after a week off. Can you believe that?
Can you see me?
No, not yet.
Hey, as long as Taylor Swift can see you, we better warn Travis Kelce. Scruffy's on the loose.
All right,
Don't start.
Look out, Taylor.
No, watch out, Kelsey, man. When he hears, watch out, Taylor, when he hears the pipes on Scruffy. No kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
And now, on with the show.
Time for bladder check. 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 Wait. Screw it. I'm holding it.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right, and welcome to Hyperspace Heroes episode 101 on the, or 126 on the Spotchka scale. And after a week off, we are back, guys. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
Round 2, signing in from my bunker.
From your bunker?
From my bunker, because Skynet triggered the final August 19th, 2024 at 2:14 p.m. Look at that.
That's right.
That's there.
Right.
Oh.
All right.
Right on.
Well, I guess Brown Forest signing in. I don't know if I would call this a bunker, but I'm not hiding from Taylor Swift like Scruffy is. So.
No, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm sorry. Anthony, sign it.
Brown 21, ready to rock and roll.
All right, Brown 21. Welcome back, sir.
Welcome back, brother.
Welcome
Thanks
back.
for having me.
So, yeah, Anthony from Force Ghose Conversations is joining us tonight.
Anthony, Taylor Swift, I've got nothing in my brain has been stuck in my head for 48 hours now.
Just 48 hours? I feel like it's been the last 10 years for me.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Right.
I'm ready to stick a ice pick through my skull right now.
Hey, I'll loan you a 13-year-old, and you can listen to Taylor Swift night and day.
Nope, not happening, bro.
So I used to work at, you may have heard of Hershey Park, an amusement park in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to work there as a costume character. And one of the dance parties we had to do was, one of the songs featured at that time was Shake It Off. So I always, that's why that song's been stuck up here for quite some time. It's like a trauma response.
It's living rent-free right there.
It really has.
Nice.
Man.
I'm sorry, man.
Nice.
I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know where to go from that. Actually, maybe we'll use this as a palate cleanser.
We did it! Yay!
All right, of course.
Okay,
yeah. So welcome back, Anthony. Before we get going into too far, I want to wish a happy belated birthday to our guest from last week, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. We had him on the show 2 days before his birthday, and we forgot to wish him a happy birthday. And I don't know why we did that. Shame on us.
I know, right?
But anyway, yeah, Anthony. So I was looking back, and the last time you were on with us was episode 41. So
wow.
60 episodes ago. And at that time we were talking about Bad Batch season 2, episode 14, and Mando chapter 20, The Foundling.
Oh my God.
And I know, right? But
the rare period where they crossed over. Who could forget?
Yes. But a lot's gone on since then. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you were still finishing up grad school when you were on with us last time, and you've graduated since then. Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Graduated with a master's degree, and then very shortly after that, bought a house and moved down to Florida. So now,
Okay.
Batu East is about 15 minutes down the road.
Oh,
Oh,
jealous.
oh, super jealous.
Not to brag too much.
Right. I had the first chance to go there in January, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And now you probably have the bug to come back as
I
quickly as
do.
possible.
Yeah, we're trying to plan a guys trip. Some one of these winters, zip on down and nerd out for a couple days. But
you know who to call when that comes around.
Absolutely. Now that we know you're down there,
Absolutely.
for sure, without a doubt.
We'll hit up Oga's.
There we go. Rock on. So like you said, you graduated, bought a house, and what other kinds of things have you been? Your show's doing really well. I've been catching episodes from time to time, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. What other kind of things have you been up to?
You know, just trying to find fun ways to keep the show fresh and innovative. So, you know, with that comes going to conventions and all that. So that's on the fun side of things. And I think a topic that we'll be talking about today, but also about a drum set. So been lasting out on that to much of the chagrin of my neighbors and my wonderfully supporting wife who, has supported me all throughout this endeavor.
Not like a legit drum set or one of those electronic ones?
Oh no, legit. I went full acoustic, as they would call it.
Very good.
But even though it's not
Nice.
very acoustic at all, it's very, very loud and fun.
One of our friends, Brown 69, has one of the electronic set so that he can plug his headphones in, and his significant other does not have to listen to him rehearse down in the basement. So
No, she was great. She said, "Yeah, I want to hear it." So here we are.
She hasn't regretted it yet, right?
She is not once. Nope. At least not vocal. She's not vocalized any displeasure with it.
Nice.
I'm very good though about saying like, "Hey, can I do a 30-minute session here and there?" And usually when you ask kindly, it is viewed upon more favorably.
Is it 30 minutes of Wipeout?
Oh no, so it'll be mostly Priest and Iron Maiden and
nice.
Yes.
Metallica, Pantera, the good stuff. you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
We are on our way down.
Back to the basics for sure. Max Rebo Experience, welcome to the chat, sir. So Max is a avid follower and contributor to the From a Certain Point of Skew, the FACPA boys, and so welcome to crossing over, Max. Welcome to the show. We hope you find this. I think it's Max Rebo. I hope you find this show very satisfactory, and he'll understand what that means. Let's see. What's been going on in recent news? The biggest, I think, the news that's going around on the interwebs right now in Star Wars news, outside of D23, is the cancellation of Acolyte.
Yeah.
They did officially announce that there's not going to be a season 2.
So we get 2 seasons of Resistance, but we can't get 2 seasons of the Acolyte. Really? Seriously? So Kazuto was a better option than Darth Plagueis, is what they're trying to tell me. And how are we ever going to find out about Darth Plagueis the Wise when they cancel the Acolyte?
Well, books.
Yeah, I got it all in my system now.
Yeah, did you?
Is this the Scruffy's rant portion of the show? Or?
I know.
Oh, yes, it is. I'm not even close to. I keep looking at my notes over here, going, "Okay, I'm going to hit this and that."
It's all the notes say is Resistance bad, Acolyte good.
Yeah,
pretty much, right? So yeah, I think anybody that has been studying the behind the scenes numbers wasn't that surprised, unfortunately. I think I know, at least on this show, and I think you too, Anthony, I think we enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it had its flaws like every Star Wars show does, I think.
The heck you say?
There were some things they could have tweaked about.
Bad Batch was flawless.
Oh, that's true. Let's say live action.
Okay.
I mean, it was no Jack Black Lizzo episode, but Acolyte was okay.
Wow. All right.
No, but I mean, unfortunately, viewership I think suffered a little bit. you know, and in the end, I know there's a lot of discourse going on online. People want to hate the chads, the dude bros, the whatever they want to call them. But I think in the end, it was a business decision. And to kind of touch on your point, Scruffy, you know, with 2 seasons of Resistance, it was a different time for streaming. It was the early days, I think, you know, or it was the early days of Disney owning, because it was actually prior to Disney Plus that Resistance came out. And so it was a different time. And, you know, nowadays, I think since Iger came back, you know, he's made comments about less mass quantity in streaming new content and fewer shows, but better quality. And I think when they just took a look at the numbers, it was a business call, unfortunately. I think we'd all enjoy a season 2 for sure. Thoughts?
I mean, unfortunately, I think it was in some ways set up to fail from the start. With as Max Rebo is noting here, the huge budget. I mean, it had a $180 million budget, and I don't really know what the return on investment they were expecting to be was. Like, if you're a $180 million project, right? I mean, if you look at a movie, right? If you have about a $180 million budget, you're looking for about $800 million in box office, which is a astounding figure in this day and age to get your, you know, whatever profit you need to make off of this thing. And I have no idea how necessarily they categorize streaming profitability based off of shows that they put out. But when you have that type of number attached to it, I'm like, why would you not? Why would you give something that you know is a fresh concept in a new part of the timeline with basically all brand new characters, aside from 10 minutes of Ki-Adi-Mundi for the most part. Like I can't see how the money went into backing up this project from the start, and then they can use that as an excuse to not give it a second season later on. It's like, oh, it cost too much. We didn't have the viewership from this endeavor. So that's just really just sad in my opinion, and it's tragic because I think, as we all been saying, we would like to see a second season for this thing. I think the setup that they had at the end was really, really well done. Like, I want to see Yoda 2. I want to see Plagueis. I want to see where Osha, May, and the Stranger go. Like, they really set up some wonderful things within this show. And if they maybe could have done it with a cheaper budget, it just seems like they just went straight off and said, no, we're not doing this. Then exploring other options for if they could reduce the budget, maybe do only 5 or 6 episodes in the season. I don't know. I hope that there are opportunities that they could have done or explored more before just saying we're not doing it.
Yeah, and I also think that maybe that decision was made even before this season was over. Is my guess.
Yeah,
I think because right after they or was it D23 they announced the novel, the prequel novel, and some other things.
So that was at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, that was right. Yeah, San Diego, which was pretty quick after the show was done. And the fact that it was only like the book, they didn't have a release date. It was just the concept of the book. My guess is they commissioned it probably before the season was over, and they haven't had a chance to have the author write it yet. And I think they were going into damage control once they saw the numbers starting to plummet. The viewer numbers would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, Scruffy said it. Chimere's the best villain they've had in a while, and I would love to see more. Definitely, if they do a book of his backstory, I'm definitely going to pick that up. Because he has been one of the most intriguing villains in a while. So,
I think it was doomed from the beginning because there was a lot of hate before the first episode even aired.
Yeah, for sure it seems that way, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm not going to hate on anything until I've at least seen one episode of it.
Right.
Well, doomed from maybe the viewer standpoint, but from a Disney promoting it, I think if they had seen the numbers, I think if they'd seen the return they hoped for it, they would have pushed past the hate, and done a second season despite what the haters online were saying. I mean, if they listened to the hate, then they would if they listened to the hate, they would reboot the sequels, or
bring tech back.
or break that back, right, exactly. So they don't. I think with basically the way Iger seems to be acting, I think it's really just I think in the end it's just a money decision, and we've been lucky. We've also been lucky in the fact that shows don't get canceled that much anymore, or at least they don't announce cancellations. I mean, growing up, we had lots of shows get canceled on us. Scruffy, you and I were talking about that earlier. Both versions of V, Firefly.
Firefly.
Yeah, the original Battlestar Galactica. I mean, shows
lately Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Sarah Connor. Yep,
it was an epic show.
I'm thinking Mork and Mindy, but
oh wow!
I did watch that show religiously, but I was like 8 years old. So.
Right.
I have not had anybody mention that to me. Really? Was it Nanu? Was it
Nanu?
Did they do the thing here like this? Or
which is just this turned
like this? Okay. I got it on my system now. Thanks.
Yeah, Firefly. What a waste! That was such a great show.
Mm-hmm. But these things happen. I mean, in the end, I think I won't be surprised if they bring they'll sprinkle the characters in possibly in other things. Definitely in non-shows, books and comics and stuff like that. But for live action, I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
I have a theory that they will take the concept and rework it into a new show. We'll see more of Chimere and the twins.
Rangers of the New Republic? Oh.
Yeah, I think,
just want to see more Chimere. That's an epic villain.
I mean, I think we'll get the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise because they set that up for us.
For sure.
And they killed off the 3 most interesting Jedi since the prequels. So,
sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to something a little more positive.
Oh, wait. Chimere.
Sounds like a variety show. Is it like the Brady Bunch Hour or something?
The Brady Bunch, yeah, there you go.
You remember when they did a musical show?
It's the Laverne and Shirley of Star Wars.
They'll be in the brewery with a glove going by on the bottle. Am I aging myself right here? Sorry.
Extreme, yes.
So it'd be the cortosis mine with the glove on the little piece of cortosis going by.
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
Disney, we have ideas. Listen to us.
Right. We'll just mail all the ideas to Anthony. He could drop them off.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll take it up down the road.
Right on. So moving forward, and we've got 2 things to look forward to coming up in terms of on screen. In just a couple weeks, we've got the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, which definitely looking forward to that mini series. I think it's a 4-part series. And they are actually legitimizing Darth Jar Jar, so it doesn't get any better than that, I think.
No, it does not.
I've got to appreciate what they've done with Lego Star Wars. I think they've really embraced the humor and the fandom, and they just have fun with it.
Hasbro, pay attention. A Black Series Darth Jar Jar.
I bet you it's in the works already.
Take my money now.
It better be. It better be.
But not until after.
We
gotta have a Black Series. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, can't get a Captain Tifa figure, so
I
want my shirtless Chimere Black Series figure before.
Ooh, there you go. Amen.
We got the Skeleton Crew coming up too,
and then Space Goonies. Skeleton Crew's coming out.
Not wrong.
No, I got goosebumps watching that trailer when they released it with D23 for sure. That was it's a great trailer. Feels good. Cinematography looks good.
Yeah, how could it not feel good? You got Star Wars suburban living. Everybody's got the garbage can next to their house where it can't be seen because HOA rules say you can't see your garbage can from the road.
Yell at you if you don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a fine and yell at you.
Your grass is too high.
Yeah, it's this too high. You cut the grass.
Space HOA. Did you see there was a little kid, a Thorian walking the dog or something? And
I need to take one of my hammerheads and turn that into a figure and have him walk in a Vorpack.
I think it might have been Max. It might have been the Max Rebo experience. Had sent a comment into FACBA from a certain point of skew, and when they were talking about Skeleton Crew, and how cool would it be if the kid Neil has, since he's an Ortolan, has a Max Rebo poster in his bedroom. And would that just not be epic? Without a doubt. And I also think it would be, they mentioned this too, which was, what if they placed an ET somewhere in the background?
Oh,
like in the kids' classroom or something. There's just like an ET sitting in one of the desk chairs kind of thing.
That'd be awesome.
How epic would that be? But yeah, it looks, trailer looks good. The cinematography on it, I think, is what really struck me, because that was one of the things that got distracting with me a little bit in Acolyte, was when they were on a soundstage, you knew they were on a soundstage, and you could tell they were on a soundstage. And yeah, I think
character development.
It was fine.
They killed everybody for there was character development.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. There was no character development because they were dead in 5 minutes.
That was their development.
They were born to die.
Yeah,
they were born to die.
Little did we know Jackie's middle name was Hole Punch.
Right.
Oh, that's sad.
Right.
It's too soon, man. Too soon.
That was her character development. She got 3 holes.
No. Now I will. A lot of people bash on that part of killing them too soon, but I enjoyed the fact that you got enough of Yord and Jackie and their interactions. Like DB, you had mentioned you loved the dynamic when it was the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And on screen. And I think they gave us just enough that when they got killed in the manner that they did, we had enough to have formed a relationship with the character, to like them, to want more, and then to make that sense of loss even greater because we did lose them.
Yeah, they evoked that sympathy so well.
Yes, they did it. Oh, and then what was the follow-up episode where Vanestra's walking through and you just see their dead bodies staring at the camera, and it was just like,
brutal.
Okay. Yeah, that was brutal. But yeah, back to Skeleton Crew. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. We'll see where it goes. I'm hoping for some good Star Wars fun. I don't need anything in depth. I don't need any huge character development. With some better dialogue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Yeah, but Mrs. DB said the opposite. She's like, we need more Yord without his shirt on. And I'm like, you got all this, Mrs. DB.
I was going to say, just stand up and look at this. You got Rob Halford sitting right here, man.
Yeah. We're living after midnight around here.
Yes.
Nothing good ever happens after midnight.
You sound like my mother.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Skeleton Crew, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm just some good natured fun. Kids lost in the galaxy. I'm hoping they'll tie in a Delphi Rangers. Yes. You see those 2 X-Wings with spotlights, like they're searching for something in the one scene, and it takes place during the time of Mando. So I'm fingers crossed. And I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but when I made that mention, I said, Paul, you don't have to say anything, but I'm hoping that we see Carson Teva in Skeleton Crew. And he got a funny look on his face at the first, but he quickly masked it up. So
well, we all know that Teva is the glue that holds the universe together.
Yep. He is. Yep.
That's true.
You can't have a live action Mandoverse show without Teva. So yeah. So well, let's pivot over to why we have you on tonight, Anthony, other than just to sit around and BS. But
hey.
You recently made a trip to D23.
I did, yeah.
How did that all come to be? How did you decide that? First of all, how did you get tickets? What's the process of going to D23?
Sure. So they announced back in September that D23 was going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center this year. It usually takes place every 2 years or every other year at this point. And with Star Wars Celebration being in Japan next year. I realized, wow, that's quite a distance away. After skipping London, I thought, I don't know if I can really do Japan. So I started thinking, what would be the next best place to go? That Lucasfilm was going to have a presence to some degree, and just something that I wanted to do because for the podcast Force Ghose Conversations, I'm physically going to go to 2 conventions every year. And one of those I decided for this year, 2024, back in September of last year, was going to be D23. So that's where I kind of started that process, was back in September. I immediately said, this is one of them that I'm going to, especially without a celebration this year. I figured that they would have a stronger presence. Thankfully, that paid off in my favor, because the week before it wasn't as the schedule fully wasn't released yet for what they were planning to do, and it was looking a little dicey there for a minute. But once they finally got on board with all that stuff, I was like, okay, we definitely made the right call with this one for sure. And then the ticketing process was really interesting and unique because you have to be a D23 Gold member to even get a ticket to start, unless that they reached a point where they were not having any more interest from Gold members, then they would let other people purchase tickets. So you either had to be a Gold member yourself or know someone that's a Gold member that could then buy your ticket for you. I am a D23 Gold member myself, so I had access to the first wave of tickets. Didn't get them on the first day, and then they reopened them up on the second day, and then that's how I was able to grab my 3-day ticket for the convention.
And since we know you, we're eligible in the future.
Technically, yes, that's right. Just let me know in advance. And
is there a cap on how many tickets you can get?
I don't think there was. I think the only way that there would have been a cap was if so. The thing that they did this year, which was kind of an experiment, which we can talk about, is the big panels of the day were taking place at the Honda Center, which was right down the road. It's where the Anaheim Ducks play. It's a big hockey arena. So they could fit upwards of 10, 12, 13,000 people there on any given night for the 3 big panels they were doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. So they had the Disney showcase, the entertainment showcase on Friday night. Saturday night, they had the parks presentation. And then Sunday, they had the Legends ceremony where people like Harrison Ford and Frank Oz and John Williams were inducted as Disney Legends. So if you wanted to add that experience to your ticket, that was an extra cost on top of your 3-day ticket. Or you could buy a 1-day ticket and buy, I guess, 3 days at the Anaheim, at the Honda Center. Unfortunately, those sold out really fast. Those were the first things that went. And by the time that I got my chance to buy a ticket, all the ones in my price range were gone. And then as you can imagine, as the lower in the hockey arena you go, as well as the closer to the stage, the more expensive that ticket got. And I was not willing to shell out $1,000 per seat for some of those floor seats that they had available at the time. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to have fun at the convention. I know it's open from 9 to 7. So while everyone's heading over to the Honda Center, I can maybe explore a lot of the show floor without crowds and get into some of the experiences that other people waited long times for while I was doing other stuff at the same time. So it kind of worked out in everybody's favor here, I think. But I've talked to people that went to all the Honda Center activities, and it seemed to work well from a logistics standpoint as well. So that's kind of how we got to this point.
Very cool. Very cool. And so did you know, like, were you there to hit just the Star Wars stuff, or did you hit like a lot of the other Marvel and things like that as well?
So my main focus was definitely doing all the Lucasfilm stuff. They had their own pavilion at D23, and they, like I said, they finally announced a week beforehand what their full array of programming was going to be for the entirety of the weekend. When they first announced the calendar, so to speak, for the 3 days of worth of events, I kind of had a pre-plan of what things I wanted to do. And because Lucasfilm at that time didn't have a big presence aside from just that, they were seeming like they were going to have the same panel 3 times a day over the course of the 3 days. So I thought, okay, you do that once, then you don't need to do it again. And that frees me up other time to go do other panels that they had available. So with that, my original plan was to kind of be strategic about the things that they had offering. So if there were like Star Wars adjacent people, I would have probably attended that panel just because, okay, I'm in the same room with for example, Michael Giacchino, who was doing a Music of Marvel panel, and we know Michael Giacchino did the score for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and I thought, okay, it'd have been cool to have been in the same room as him. ILM was also doing a panel about their recent What If thing that they did for Marvel with the Vision or Oculus Quest, whatever it's called, the VR thing, and I would probably sat in on that to see if there was any cool people from ILM that was there representing the brand, and maybe I could have run into them and talked to them. So that was kind of my game plan to start. But then, of course, like a week out, Lucasfilm threw that all out the window and then decided, hey, we're going to have a Q&A with Manny Jacinto. We're going to have this whole Lego Rebuild the Galaxy panel. Doug Chang's going to be there to speak. Nub's meet and greet was twice over the weekend. Vanessa Marshall and Athena Portillo were there to chat all things Disney or Lucasfilm animation. So then that was my big intent, was to, like, I'm just going to hang out at the Lucasfilm Pavilion for the entirety of the 3 days. And everything that I do beyond that will be ancillarily fun things, like going to the Marvel experience that they had. They also had a National Geographic experience right beside, and a whole Avatar walkthrough was right beside the Lucasfilm Pavilion too. And just kind of generally walking around the show floor, hitting up the shop that they had as well was a big thing on my to-do list. But first and primarily, I wanted to be a voice for the people that weren't at D23, so that I could highlight all the important news and announcements and just fun things that Lucasfilm was offering for people that may not have had the opportunity to be in the room. So that was my end goal, and I hope that I did everybody justice that was not at D23, and hopefully I gave you all enough FOMO that maybe you're interested next time in going as well, because I think if my math serves correct, it looks like they're going to start doing it every other year. D23 Star Wars Celebration, D23 Star Wars Celebration. So it may frankly be the next time that a lot of people in the States have the opportunity to have this grand Lucasfilm convention experience, aside from a celebration or some of those like one-off things that they do. Like maybe they'll have a little bit of a presence at San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con, but definitely a full-fledged Lucasfilm presence was at D23, and I hope they continue that moving forward.
Right on. And yes, you did a great job. So I definitely was following every post you put out there. And I know you got to, I know one of the things that you got to attend was the Manny, like he did a presentation, right? With
Sure did.
Yeah.
Look at this thing here.
Oh,
nice.
Very cool.
That's an epic shot of him too. But yeah, he did like a panel, right? And you got to go to that. And what was that like?
Well, it was excellent. I mean, first and foremost, Lucasfilm knew that this was going to be a very popular thing. They said the day of that they were going to give out wristbands to everybody, and if you wanted to get in, you have to get a wristband. So I was like, this is my top priority for today. No matter what, I am getting a wristband some way, shape, or form. Like I am not missing this thing for anything.
Right.
So I basically, like I said, was camping out there, and I just kept asking a bunch of the people, whether they worked at Lucasfilm or was a part of the Disney convention team there, hey, when are you guys going to start handing out, when are you going to hand out the wristbands? Where can I get the wristbands at? Do you know exactly where you're going to start handing them out? Just, casually asking these questions throughout the day to make sure I knew exactly where I needed to be at the right time and place. So we'll finally saw them start to hand them out. Immediately made my way over, got myself a wristband, and then this is around 2:30. The thing started at 4. His talk started at 4. They had wonderful queue lines right in front of the Lucasfilm space that they typically started letting people in a half hour beforehand, or they actually started letting you queue a half hour before the event started, whatever event it was going to be. So once I figured out the rules of all of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to really hang out so I can get front row seat for this thing. That was really one of my big goals too for this panel, was to be up in front. So I was like 2:30. I don't care what else is going on around now. I'm going to make sure that I am seated somewhere here so I can quickly hop in a spot and get it. So I had my wristband, had a great location for this thing. They let us in. I was basically second row from the stage, and had this wonderful conversation with Manny, Kristen Baber from StarWars.com. Led the Q&A, and they basically took a bunch of questions from online. I think they probably posed some Twitter or X question and then allowed people to submit questions through that means. And they basically used the volume, which I forgot to mention. The volume was there. They literally brought a full stagecraft set that is currently being used to film The Mandalorian and Grogu from the place where they're filming it in, I think, Long Beach, California, hauled that thing over to the Anaheim Convention Center, and somehow painstakingly put it together. And I'm telling you guys, floor to ceiling, this thing took up the entirety of the space. It is maybe, gosh, I'm not even sure the words can justify how big this thing is, but let's imagine 60 feet wide, and it's got to be at least 40 50 feet tall. Like, this thing was massive. And imagine using that as like your laptop screen. Basically, they were using this for presentations. They just had it in the background and used like a clicker to move between slides when they did presentations here for this thing. Like, just blowing my mind that they're actually it's just a big computer that they're just putting images on and just living out their Star Wars dreams and adventures with this thing on in the background here. So they went through the conversation, Kristen and Manny. They talked a lot about his approach to becoming the Stranger. It showed a lot of concept art of how the mask came together, and that was just really wild because I think the mask they came decided upon was quite terrifying and menacing. I think served the point of what the character was trying to do. But some of those concepts that they thought along the way to get to that point were just equally more terrifying. So I'm really glad that they showcased some of that artwork. Manny definitely had a 100% all hands in approach to crafting the physicality of this character. So he talked a lot about that and the training and some of his influences being Hayden Christensen and Ray Park when it came to the physicality of the character. He really spoke so highly of Amon Lestenberg and their work together. And just, he was like so thrilled that they were able to put a wonderful product on screen for everybody. And he definitely was like, I can tell you firsthand, he was like, I really hope we can do more. So after this Q&A conversation, they surprised everyone with like, all right, you're now going to have the chance to do a meet and greet with Manny. So they're like, all right, stay where you are. We're going to single file everybody up onto the volume stage here. And they brought out a little table and he just sat down and started signing all these pictures. And fortunately, I was in the front because I can imagine people that were in the way back probably had to wait at least an hour or two in order to get to the front because he was really taking his time with people. He took the time to figure out what your name was. He had a little bit of a maybe 15 to 30 second interaction with you. So I went up and I thanked him profusely for the hard work and dedication that he had for the show. And it clearly showed in the product at the end of the day. And he's just very thankful. He did say, I hope we get the chance to do more. And that was kind of his parting words to me there as I got my picture and then walked off.
Wow.
So just after seeing it firsthand, and you could tell the passion that this man put into it, it just makes the announcement, which only came a week later, all the harder.
Right on.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Wow. How many people would you say that did they allow in for those kinds of smaller?
I think they could fit up to 200 people if they wanted, 250 maybe, depending on how crammed everyone could be. They had they had a virtual queue. So in the weeks leading up to the events, you could basically, like you can with Star Wars Celebration, sign up for like a virtual queue to like get yourself a fast pass lane to some of the various panels here. So some people were able to get that when it was still like, we're doing the volume showcase 3 times a day. And then they just changed those names to be like, okay, Rebuild the Galaxy panel, okay, Stagecraft design with Doug Chang. And then those people could get basically the first pass into the seating area. And then they had a standby queue, which is the one that I usually got to do, which they opened up a half hour beforehand. And then once everybody got in that was kind of allowed to be in there because of their virtual queue, then the standby queue went in. And that filled it up to, I would say, about 200, 250. But they did a good job of cutting that off so it didn't become a fairly massive fire hazard for everybody and just ruining everybody's time at the convention. So they definitely packed a lot of people in there, and it was truly immersive because once you're in there, they had the lights dimmed down. It was dark. The volume lighting just takes over everything, and you're just in awe looking at this massive thing in front of you. I mean, I was already a volume convert to begin with, but once like seeing is believing. Like I am a disciple now of the volume, if that is such a phrase. Like I believe in everything that they're doing there, and they sold me 100% on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Right on. That's cool. Did you get in on any other panels at D23?
Are you saying anything else from Star Wars or just in general?
Either one.
I did every single Star Wars panel that they had there.
Nice.
So first thing that they did was a Rob Reedow from ILM and some others. Basically, the first panel of every day was the same one, which was this volume showcase extravaganza, let's call it, where they walked you through, all right, this is the volume, this is what we do for stagecraft, this is how we film all this stuff. And they would show like a reel of all the cool things they're doing with it, not just Star Wars, which we know, of course, too, being like Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, a little bit of Andor, too. So that was kind of just some good confirmation there that even though Tony Gilroy is like, I'll never use this thing, he actually did use a little bit of it for Andor at certain scenes. I think we can figure out which scenes those were. Coruscant. But a show like Percy Jackson was something that they highlighted very as a positive use of the volume in that sense, because they did showcase like, all right, Rob Reedow was playing a game with us in the audience for that early part of the panel where he was like, all right, here's a picture from one of the shows that we've done. Can you pick where the volume starts and what's practical and what's not? And then you're like, okay, it looks like this. And they'd be like, actually, it's not. It's this. So he would just keep kind of blowing your mind about like, all right, what we thought we knew with the volume's capabilities is constantly evolving. So what didn't trick our minds in 2019 with The Mandalorian, the stuff that they're doing now with it, they're trying to go above and beyond to make sure that audiences aren't necessarily being as smart as we think we are when it comes to figuring out where the line is between real and what's not real. So that was great to just kind of hear their thought process on that. Just actually seeing the volume work was a really cool thing too, because they would say they had a full on camera that they brought out, probably one that they're using to film with the Mandalorian Grogu right now. And they'd be like, all right, here's this red square on the screen, and that's what the camera sees, right? So anything in that view, which is typically you and the person that you're in the scene with, and the screen and the square here is what is going to be recorded here. And it, again, just blows your mind what actually it looks like in practice. The thing can also literally reflect light off of it. Like they coded it so like if you have a lightsaber, right, and because lightsabers emit light, if it's supposed to emulate off of the rock that's right beside you, they will digitally insert that into the volume automatically as you are filming. Like it is incredible the work that is going behind this stuff. That just once you see it, you're just like, wow. You're allowed to have your criticism on thing, but dear God, this thing is leaps and bounds ahead of where everything immersive technology was years ago. And I can't wait to see where this thing goes in the future, because if this is where they're at now and they're constantly trying to innovate and move towards the future with this thing, I can't wait to be the receiver of the benefits for this stuff and the future stories that they're putting together. So that was a fantastic way to start each and every day, I think. Then they also, after that, throughout the day, so they would have about 3 or 4 panels, and then in the in-between times, they allowed people to do a photo opportunity. So if you got right in line right away, like I did, you actually got the chance to be in the volume yourself. They would film you with a scene behind you, and then they would send it to you. So I have a 10-second clip of me in a Rebel Alliance hangar, basically, with R5D4 right beside me, throwing up the devil horns as I'm in the volume in a Star Wars itself. Just truly breathtaking, and like I keep saying, it's a mind-blowing experience. Once you see yourself in it, once you know even though I've seen the sauce being made, I still have no idea how the sauce is made. So it's still like, I still feel like I'm a kid at heart when it comes to all this stuff. And just truly a magnificent experience across the board there when it came to that. So I did that. Of course, there was a Rebuild the Galaxy panel that I got to go to. We can definitely talk about that one in detail because I'm really excited about that. So we got to see the new trailer that came out for that thing. They debuted that live there on the volume itself. So cool again. Legacy effects were there all throughout the weekend. They did special presentations for the Keel puppet. They had Hu Yang there on display, and they also did a Loth Cat presentation as well on Sunday. They also did a small little bit of a preview for the droid SM-33, which I think they're probably going to call SME, which is going to be in Skeleton Crew. That was excellent. A Nubs meet and greet, of course, was also there. I got to do that. That was one of the highlights of the trip for me.
Awesome.
And of course, Doug Chang, getting to hear him speak live and in person, talking about the Volume 2, because he was talking about the challenges of trying to design for this thing and the practical benefits too. Like there's definitely a cost benefit to using the Volume, which is really, I think, an astounding thing for the future of storytelling. He's like, we can do whatever we want with this thing. Like if we want the magic hour, right, which is only an hour, like if you're filming on location, you maybe only get that for at most an hour, but we can do a whole day of filming here with as many takes as we want. And we didn't have to be on location. We didn't have to scout for this. We didn't need to make sure that the lighting was in the right place. Nope. All that was taken care of right for us. So the streamlined process of everything just was fantastic. And to hear it straight from the legend, Doug Chang himself, was also a wonderful experience. And then finally, Vanessa Marshall was there with Athena Portillo, and they talked through all of their favorite, which I think we need to reevaluate what the word favorite is after watching that panel. But they did talk about all of their most important and impactful moments from Star Wars animation throughout the year, starting with Clone Wars and then ending with Bad Batch, of course. And they also didn't announce anything new at that panel there, but they did say so much more is to come in the future, and they were very excited about that and being a little coy about what the future holds for that. But it did seem very optimistic at the end of the day, I would say. So that was what kind of my day to day.
Yeah,
I made sure to hit up all those major panels, and then in the interim, I would like go across the Avatar experience. The walkthrough was right beside that, so I made sure to tackle that, and that was a wonderful time. The Marvel Studios experience was fantastic as well. They had things for like The Bear. I don't know if anyone here has seen The Bear on Hulu, but they had a whole The Bear experience, which basically was you walk through a kitchen and you get yelled at. I mean, I can't believe people stood in line for this thing.
I could do that in my own house.
Exactly. Who's standing in line for trauma? I don't know, guys. Not my cup of tea, but all the power to you. They had like a whole Shogun experience too, a lot of cars and different things like that from the Walt Disney Archives. There was a whole Imagineering pavilion that they had and did various talks throughout there. And just really, it's something for everybody. For if you're a fan of just Disney overall, all the things underneath the umbrella, it's truly a magnificent time for anybody there. But if you want to be a specialist in something, right? So like, for example, me, you want to have a Star Wars focused, great. You can do everything Star Wars, and there's something for you every day that will meet the entertainment goals that you're trying to experience throughout the course of the day. If you are a Marvel guy, they got something for you every day. There's a panel. There's a whole different track you can do for that experience. If you're a parks guy, another thing, right? So what's really cool is to see where are the gaps that people. So I talk to people like, oh, so what did you do? Because I feel like I bet you had a completely different D23 experience than what I did, and vice versa, right? They had completely no idea what I was doing, and it was so cool to just hear what all the fun things people are doing here at this convention. So I think it's definitely one of the top tier in terms of cons, a place to go if you're a fan of just this type of nerddom, or if you're specifically a Star Wars person. I think this is definitely something to have on your to-do list in the near future.
Right on.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, you did a great job covering it. You were my go-to for what was going on at D23 because we all worked.
Yeah.
Along. So you were my every time I take a break or something, I'd catch up with you and find out what's going on at D23 because I don't have wish I had time, but I didn't have time to just sit and just stare at everything and watch.
Yeah, I was excited to see that they had Vanessa hosting that one panel because she's a great ambassador for Star Wars animation. We've had her on the show as well, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful person. And I hope they keep her around and do more with her. I think she really deserves to get that recognition for what she brings. And they, overall. So
agreed.
Yeah,
she was a real, like I keep saying, they rephrase what they mean by favorite moments in animation, because it was always the gut wrenching moments, right? She'd be like, my favorite moment in the Bad Batch was tech sacrifice. My favorite moment in Clone Wars was Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. my favorite moment in Rebels was Kanan's sacrifice. And then to see Kanan's like eyes turn, when the moment where he can see again on the volume screen, like, what are you doing to us, guys? Come on. And like, of course, the tech falling sequence, right? Like to see that on the volume too, like, come on. I don't necessarily would consider that my favorite moment. I think I could choose some other more fun moments that I would like more fondly look back on, but for the impactful stuff,
A little less traumatizing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think every single one of those scenes from a visual standpoint and the power that you can use the volume for to display that, I think, that's definitely why they tied in those scenes. And yeah, I agree with you, Anthony. I've always been a fan of the volume. I think it's been a revolutionary tool. And I know as soon as we got out of the COVID phase, and especially when Andor came around and they started doing more on-scene stuff, people started bashing the volume. But again, the volume what Mando and the volume did was it broke down new barriers. It introduced a whole new it introduced live action Star Wars on the small screen, but it also it kept the Lucas tradition alive of new technology, innovation, pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope to improve storytelling. And I'll always be thankful for the volume because of that, for sure.
You're 100% right on both points. Like, exactly. Like I'm very excited from a development standpoint to see how the Mandalorian Grogu does with it. Right. If they have, let's say, a $150 million budget for a 2-hour film, how great can it look? Right. I think that's the opportunity that presents itself, because I think we know what 100 million over 8 episodes looks like. So let's see.
I'm glad you said it, because it was right here.
Well, I think the last number that was reported for Skeleton Crew was 135 million for the first season. So again, I think part of it too, I think it comes down to what tools are the creators familiar with and what's in their toolkit. And when you involve people that come from a more cinematic background, you're going to get more of a cinematic result. And nothing against Leslie. I think Leslie had some solid points, but she came from more of a small screen background and theater background. So I think the show reflects that. And whereas who's the showrunner for Skeleton Crew? That's
Watts.
John Watts. Yeah. So again, somebody with a cinematic, and I think that's why we're seeing the way it looks in at least in the trailer. I mean, we'll have to see what the finished product looks like.
Plus, with a lot of Favreau influence too, right?
Oh,
John and Dave aren't too far away when it comes to that. And John and Dave literally walk the show floor all the time. Like John Favreau was like 2 inches in front of me at one point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Killing me.
So what were a few other highlights, or what were some personal highlights that you had with the show?
So I will say, just in general, I feel like it was a very professionally done show, like in terms of people knowing logistically where everything was supposed to be, where you needed to be for certain things. Like there was just a consistency across the board in terms of getting people in, getting you into the convention, getting you through security. Like you could tell it wasn't these people's first rodeos when it came to doing this stuff. So just from a fan standpoint and wanting to enjoy myself and the experience of it all, especially going by myself and not really knowing people around me and doing all that, it made it very user friendly from top to bottom. As soon as you got in through security, they had a stand where they're like, okay, here is a map of the entire show floor, and where all the panels are at, all the different stages for these things. So you knew exactly where everything was located at, very user-friendly manner. They had they gave you lanyards right then and there, so you didn't need to worry about holding on to your 3-day pass or 1-day pass, whatever you had. That made that super easy as well. And they gave everyone a tote bag as soon as you entered as well. So as you're going through the show floor, great place to store stuff and all that. So that was truly a delight. But from the experience overall for me, because I can also speak to some other people too, because I didn't get to go to the Honda Center except for Sunday. I was able to procure a ticket for the Legend ceremony, so I got to see that experience. But for Friday and Saturday night, I can't really speak to those personally because I was watching on Twitter when it came to all those announcements myself. So my other big panel that I wanted to note was definitely the Rebuild the Galaxy. I felt like that was truly a delight panel to experience, and just so cool to see they both showrunners out. I unfortunately can't remember their names off the top of my head, but also James Waugh from Lucasfilm Story Group was there, and he kind of led this conversation with them. I just think that this show is going to be so fun for just a lot of different reasons. I think the creativity, really no question is no thought is off the table, I should say, right? Everything was a possibility for them when it came to this. This is truly a what if in Star Wars. I think a lot of people probably watched the What If series for Marvel, both seasons 1 and 2. They're currently on Disney Plus, and people have been saying, can we get a what if in Star Wars? And personally, I was like, I don't really need to see that. But if there was a way to do it, it's through Lego, which I think is really awesome because it's that type of humor, that branding. It just kind of makes sense once it comes full circle with that. Debuting the trailer there, talking about the cast and crew that they have assembled for this incredible project, right? Mark Hamill's back to voice character. Kelly Marie Tran is back. Billy D. Williams. A lot of the major players that you can think of in the Lego verse that Star Wars has done over the last couple of years are back. So it's really wonderful to have them together. And really the big plug that I'll have is they gave out everybody a ticket as soon as you walked in, like a raffle ticket. And at the end of the panel, they were like, all right, everybody, check at the back of your thing. And if there is a Lucasfilm stamp on it, then you won something. So I said, great. I looked on the back there, and lo and behold, I had one of those stamps. Nice. So then they're like, all right, if you got a stamp, wait. And then once the show floor clears out, or the panel floor clears out, then go over to this corner here and receive your prize. I was pretty much the last person to make my way over there because I was in the front, and they started handing out things. And basically, whatever color you got meant you got a different Lego set inspired by the Rebuild the Galaxy. And turns out I got the best one of all of them. So somehow your boy won.
Black Falcon, yes.
Huge Dark Falcon, which will be featured heavily in the show as the alternative to the silver and heroic Millennium Falcon. It also comes with the wonderful the Darth Jar Jar minifig that I think has been on everyone's mind when it comes to this show. This apparently is sold out, so this is one of a kind right now. And definitely a true delight because I wasn't expecting this at all. And then the downside was it did not fit at all in either my backpack or the handy tote bag that they gave out to everybody at the beginning of the day. So, of course, this was Friday. I was planning to be here until 7 on the show floor. So I've literally carried this thing around with me, all day long. And as I'm standing in line for other things, going from place to place, everyone's coming up to, yo, where'd you buy that? How can I get one of those here? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I want it. Not for sale. I don't know. So yeah, it was a great time. Definitely a lot of fun things. The only thing that I would say negatively, or that I think that could have been improved in some way, was they had 4 different shops of various things, but all of them had to require a virtual queue to get in it. So there was no standby line for any of the merchandise stuff. So frankly, they had, so the first one, you could do it at twice a day. The second one was at 1 p.m. So if you missed the morning one, you could try again at 1. But the first one was at 4 a.m. Don't do that. 7 a.m. is more apt for a normal human being. I don't need to wake up at 3:55 in order to get into a virtual queue for something. That's my only gripe. I don't need that.
I've been at cons with Scruffy. There's no way he's getting up to do a 4 a.m.
That's tough.
For sure.
I did it once, and then I went through the store and got my teak little doll that they were selling there. That was fun.
Yeah, you're lucky. I get up at 7. I get up in time to get to work at 7 a.m. Let alone.
Sure
That's
enough.
right.
Sure
That's
enough.
right.
So I'll bring up this question from Max Rebo. Did you have to take that on the flight home? He's of course talking about your Dark Falcon.
I did not. I shipped it via FedEx. They have
smart.
outside the Anaheim Convention Center. They have a Hilton, and inside that Hilton is a FedEx store. So
nice.
Yeah,
Perfect.
this was not fitting in my carry-on either. I'll tell you that.
Perfect.
It just cost just a little bit bigger than the carry-on size. So, okay, I guess I'm shipping it home.
I want to bring this comment from a little bit ago from Jedi John. And John, welcome to the show. Thank you for watching. Part of the Force Diet podcast. I think Doug is one of the smartest creators on the planet. If he had 30 to 40 more years with the technology, it would be epic. Yeah. And no doubt about that. Doug Chiang is definitely that the man has done wonders for the Star Wars universe for sure.
And I'll tell you, hearing him speak in person is a life-changing experience because this man knows what he's talking about. He'll tell you about the history of how you got there, how the lessons he's learned along the way, and his ability to speak on a stage like that in front of all those people is just really magnificent. To take these difficult to understand concepts and sometimes artsy concepts, and then to distill it in a way that other people can understand easily. Hey, I'm all for it.
Right on. And an Easter egg that we just learned about, DB and I when we were prepping for the Carson Teva show, we were going back and looking at old footage, rewatching every scene that Carson Teva was in, getting ready. And he noticed somebody, and Doug Chiang has a cameo in Mando. And he's in a blue flight suit walking towards the cantina in one of the Adelphi base scenes, which is a very cool Easter egg. We did not know that until we had done our research just recently. So I'm glad he got a chance, along with a lot of the directors, to get that, on-screen role, because he deserves it, for sure. One of those people, it's like when John Williams finally got his cameo, and it's just, it's those cameos that you really enjoy seeing. And then I want to bring up John's other comment, which was, you kind of answered the line management question already. But how big was the collector feel for the exclusives?
I felt like definitely, I would say it was a big part of, I would say definitely Friday. I think that was probably the biggest thing that a lot of the people were gunning for at the convention, was those only at D23 exclusives. So I think there was a big emphasis on that, particularly at the start of the convention, and that's why I wanted nothing to do with the store on that first day. So that's why I tried on Saturday and Sunday to get my chance to go into the store and to get some of those exclusives there. So I will say definitely more on the pricey side of things. I think that one of the big things that I was particularly looking at that I just couldn't stomach the price for was they had a full Star Speeder from Star Tours there, which actually included the entire original ride itself in the thing, and it's also big, and I saw it work in person. It's the seats in it were big enough that you could put like a 3 3/4 inch action figure into each seat, and it's like, my buddies are on Star Tours with this. Like, I got the Mando, I got Luke Skywalker, I've got all these people there just enjoying Star Tours with Rex up in the front. But $300 was a little bit too much for me on that front. It's couldn't stomach.
Yeah, I was excited to see that release, but when I saw the price tag, very, very cool collectible item for sure. I think anybody that's ridden the ride would love that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was good that they had the 3 days of the convention, so everybody that was there had the opportunity to get this stuff first before they put it on shopdisney.com, and then the masses had the chance to pick up the stuff. And now I've seen that some of the exclusives are now entering into the parks and all the different stuff that they have. So I'm glad that other people have the opportunity to get it now too.
Right on. Guys, did you have any other questions about D23?
Not a question. I just, I want you to keep in mind your friends, Hyperspace Heroes. When the next one comes around and you have, a chance.
Hey, 2026. I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up too. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'm covered.
Yeah, the problem with that is 2027, there's going to be a massive celebration.
I have a feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
that'll be 50 years of A New Hope.
Already saving my pennies for that one. So,
Right on.
You've got pennies to save?
I'm saving your pennies.
There we go. It'd be nice if they would alternate it too. Maybe bring it over to Disney East, and definitely for you, Anthony. That would
I would appreciate that for sure.
And we have direct flights from where we live to Florida,
Yeah.
so it would be that would be
look.
a lot easier for us.
I personally would love it if it's here. I think logistically wise, I think we're all gonna have to maybe accept Anaheim as the next place again, just because 50 years they want the actors there, I imagine, and it's a lot easier for the actors to be more amenable to come if it's only an hour, half-hour drive for them. I think they want as many people there as possible, and it's just easier and cheaper for them if they at the end of the day. It's just at the end of the day a great con. Definitely a lot of things that I missed personally. It's because there's so much to see there in terms of panels and just show full experiences. I didn't really get to see or do any of like the meet and greets aside from Manny Jacinto, which was not on my bingo list at all. But like I know Daniel Logan was there and Ashley Eckstein was there doing signings. So definitely a lot more to see for the future. And I think no two experiences are probably the same.
Yeah,
which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I think you're right about the, it is logistically it's easier for them to pull all that, to ship the volume across the country and everything. Now.
Yeah, like the volume's not coming to Florida, I'll tell you that. So
yeah, right on. Well, cool. Well, Anthony, thank you for sharing that with us, and very cool. There's still time. Anybody in the chat, if you got any more questions before we wrap up before the end of the night, throw those questions out there for sure. What's the next con you're looking at?
ICCC heading down to Nashville, or heading up to Nashville, I should say. So I think you fellows will be there.
We'll be 4 weeks away.
Yep, 4 weeks away. Right on.
We're about 30 days away. Yep.
I still got
super excited. I can't wait.
I still got to do my autographs. Crap, I got to buy those.
I had to slim mine back a little bit.
I know you did for sure.
Quite a bit actually.
Right.
I'm actually going to be signing autographs so I can make money to buy autographs. Mine are only going to be $50 a piece. Just get in line.
Jedi John is going to be there as well. Rock on.
All right, Jedi John.
Awesome. So we are going to try to get. We definitely want to do get-togethers with everybody for sure. Any Brown Squadron members, we want to get together one of the nights or something and maybe do something. I know the night before the show starts, right, Scruff? You guys are going to head over to the terminal.
Yep, we're going to be at terminal for about a good 6 hours. Pizza, Mountain Dew Zero because we're getting old. Yep, it's going to be epic.
Nectar of the gods, right there.
Right on. So, well, very cool. We're looking forward to seeing you there, and we'll finally get to meet in person.
Absolutely, very excited.
Yeah, rock on. And let's let's transition over into collection corner, and where's my?
Where is it?
What is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising. Merchandising? What's that? Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up this door.
All right, collection corner this week. All right, guys. Scruffy, it's been a couple weeks. So how many comics?
Actually, probably 8 or 9. So it's not too bad. I did go into our local comic book store here, Top Comics here in Traverse City, and they have a great store. I love it there. And as I happened to be standing at the counter purchasing my one comic, I was only going to get one.
Liar.
Oh no, that was the only one released, and I'm like, nope, I'm not looking around. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to buy this one comic. I'm going to get out of here before I lose my shirt. And I happen to notice off to the left of me a stack of Ren and Stimpy comics. I did not know there was a Ren and Stimpy comic. Nice. There were 15 issues. They were kind enough to let me have about half of the issues that of the 15. So I got a bonus this week. Thank you to the guys at Top Comics for that. Epic.
Nice.
I cannot wait to crack these open, and now I got to go find issues 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And that is pretty much collection corner for me. I mean, like I said, like I've been saying for a while now, I'm trying to resist the urge to buy anything because I know ICCC is coming up, and the autograph purchases alone were a little pricey for me. So,
right on.
come
And
back.
while we're there, Anthony, they have a nice podcast space, so you'll definitely have to swing by. We'll have a tape. Hopefully, I haven't heard back, but I'm hoping we'll have a table there in the podcast studio. But it's a nice little space, and there's a lot of intimate interviews. That they do.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They do one-on-ones with a lot of the celebrities that attend the convention.
I look forward to
yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, and speaking of which, everyone watching, once you're done, once we sign off for tonight, flip over to Rule the Galaxy. They have ECPC TV on tonight, and they'll be talking about ICCC. But yeah, it's free to sit in. They have a little seating section. You could just slip in anytime, watch any interview that they do. Yeah, it is really cool. We got to watch some really cool interviews last year. The last 2 years, really.
And we got to do some really cool interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. DB.
Well, I actually got Spaceballs the Flamethrower this week. No.
Yes.
I am still on my spending moratorium in preparation for ICC.
Yeah, right.
Except for this.
Ooh.
Oh.
Can y'all see that?
Yes.
I bought this tin off the IC, complete with every single one of the modal nodes.
Ooh.
Inside, which I've been keeping my eyes open for something like this for a couple of years to fill my diorama. And this way I don't feel guilty about opening something. And the gentleman on the IC had this for a killer price and shipped in my house in 2 days. So I'm very, very happy with this purchase. Very ridiculous price. He gave it to me for a ridiculous price. So other than that, no, the spending moratorium is in effect until October 3rd.
Right.
And by October 5th, I will be broke and hitchhiking home. So, because all my stuff will be in Scruffy's car on its way back. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Pretty much, right? Yeah, pretty much. Anthony, I mean, we got to see the Dark Falcon and the autograph poster. Did you pick up any other goodies?
Yeah, so I have recently, in addition to all these things, just picked up a holy grail of my collection now, which is the first time I've ever actually seen this on market. I didn't even think they made this. So I somehow scrounged up a Attack of the Clones cassette tape featuring all of John Williams. Yep, the entire score on cassette.
Nice.
Wow.
It is magnificent. I have no idea how I found this on eBay from 2002. This thing it plays incredible. It rocks. Love hearing Across the Stars on it. I have
the CD. I didn't know they made a cassette.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's awesome.
I guess okay. So much for the spending moratorium.
Yeah.
We'll be cruising eBay as soon as we get done. I didn't know there was a cassette.
Right on.
They threw it on VHS, did they?
What's that?
I don't know. That's a great.
I don't think they put it on VHS, but they made a cassette.
Oh, they definitely put it on VHS. I can tell you that.
Attack of the Clones?
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Last one on VHS.
Revenge of the Sith was the one.
Oh, was Revenge of the Sith? Okay.
Well, no, they did, but it was overseas. I believe that it was the only place you could get it was overseas.
Well, that just blows me away.
In my VHS collection.
And in 2002, they were still making cassettes.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So it's like the butterfly effect or something doesn't seem right.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Well, that's cool. Anything else, Anthony?
That's it for today.
Okay. All right.
How about you, Brown Leader? What'd you get at the thrift store?
Nothing this week, actually.
Wow.
Nope. But a couple things. So I finally retired our first notebook of notes, podcast notes, in episodes 1 through 100. And tonight is the first night of starting the new book. So episode 101 moving forward. So there is that. DB, you actually ordered something, right? For ICCC.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hyperspace Heroes will have swag at ICC.
Mm-hmm.
We've had stickers last year, and we will have buttons this year.
Mhm.
So find one of us. We will have a supply of
Come
buttons.
get your buttons. Come get your picture with Scruffy. With
That's right.
Oh,
with Rod
pictures.
Halford-
That's
with Rod
another way.
Halford and
Let's see. The other thing is, we got our first. Let me flip over. We got our first email from a viewer from
get you guys hooked up.
Yeah, Dengar, 2014. He goes by, and so let me flip back over. First off, love all y'all's podcasts. Congrats on episode 100. So happy I found your podcast. I've got packs of posters that were released right after The Phantom Menace was in theaters in 1999. They were given out by Frito-Lay. And
That's awesome.
I'm definitely going to share the screen here so that everybody can see that really quick. And thought that was kind of a cool. So those were the posts.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Those are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love the podcast one.
Mm-hmm.
And that lightsaber duel was epic for Phantom Menace.
Yeah, exactly. Right on.
Awesome.
So thank you for sending that in, Dengar. Appreciate that. And then
it's the 25th anniversary this year of Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't even seem right. It just seems like last year or the year before we were at you and I, Brown Leader, were at Celebration Chicago.
Right. I think that's what Maya was referring to in his comment a little while ago. About,
yes.
That it's been 25 years.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, not 50, right?
How does this stuff keep getting older, yet we're still young and beautiful?
I know.
All right.
Stop
being me. Thank you.
Scruffy was my influence. So he always has his binder around for pictures, autographs and stuff whenever we're doing that at cons. So I got tired of mine just sitting in envelopes. So I definitely had to run down to Hobby Lobby and pick one up. So now I've got to fill that, of course. And with ICC coming up, we'll get the opportunity to do that.
We're going to turn him into a professional con goer here soon.
I know, right? And then the last thing I wanted to mention was I listened to a fun podcast the other day. It's by Meg Dowell. She's on Twitter, and her podcast is called Now This Is Lit, and she does a podcast about Star Wars books, literature, anything. And she had James Caan on the other day for the latest episode, and James Caan is the guy that wrote the novelization. Mr. Zero should be explained, guys. She had James Caan on, who did the novelization for Return of the Jedi, and it's a 33-minute podcast. It's worth the listen. He's got some great little stories of how a former emergency room doctor got onto the set of E.T. and ended up writing the novelization for Poltergeist, Return of the Jedi, and other things in his career. It's a fun little podcast. Now This Is Lit. You can find it on Spotify and all the other podcatchers, I'm sure. But definitely worth it. If you go for a walk, anything, just throw it on, because it's definitely a fun somebody I would enjoy talking to for sure. And then, so that's Collection Corner. So, Anthony, it's been great to have you on again, and I can't believe we're going to get to see each other in just a little over a month. That's going to be awesome. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and Force Ghose Conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me back on. If you at home enjoyed listening to this and what we do here at Force Ghose Conversations, you can, of course, find us on any podcast site of your choosing, Apple, Spotify, wherever else you can find podcasts these days. We're typically there. You can also find us on X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for Force Ghose Conversations and we'll be there. And you can find all the cool stuff that we did at D23 if you scroll through our history on those things on those sites there. And you can find some of the video clips I took from a lot of these different conversations. So particularly the Manny Jacinto one went through the roof in terms of people being engaged with that. So go check those out. The primary sources are there if you want to hear them. And thanks again for letting me share my stories here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Right on, right on. All right, Scruff, you ready?
Ready.
All right. Dad joke of the week. Time to annoy Scruffy and DB. Dad joke of the week. All right, this is courtesy of Kelly Knox's Star Wars dad jokes. Dad jokes. I can't read today. Let's see. All right, here we go.
I'm already cringing.
Yes. What do you call a Mandalorian armor you piece together on your own? A do-fet yourself kit.
No.
Yeah.
That was Dad Joke of the Week. Now don't you feel absolutely complete?
No.
There we go. I always love that segment.
Of course you
and look at that. Follow it on X.
Heyo.
Max Rebo Experience.
All right.
He is very interactive, so you should enjoy that follow for sure. So I do want to make one announcement for an upcoming show. September 19th, we are going to be doing a special DB's Blockbuster episode for Back to the Future 2. And the reason for that is because our guest is going to be actor, producer, coach, mentor, Jeffrey Weissman, who is the actor that played George McFly in Back to the Future 2 and 3. So we're going to have him on that night, 8 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that special episode. And
epic.
Yeah, we're super excited for that. That's going to be a fun episode. Yeah, for sure. So special Back to the Future episode. And we can't wait. So, all right. Well, with that, you can follow Hyperspace Heroes on all the socials. We're even on Threads and TikTok, technically, I think. And I think I solved the mystery of where, for any of our friends that know, Rural Farm Boy has been absent from Twitter. We're just not seeing him. I'm seeing him pop up on Threads. So I think he might have transitioned over to Threads. Not sure why. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. Should probably reach out to him. But see if he's safe, if he's okay. Blink twice. And see how he's doing. But yeah, so but we're on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Twix, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, although we're not as active on those. You can email us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. You can also find all of our links for all of our show, all the services that we're on at beacons.ai/Brown Squadron. We're also going to be right there with Anthony at ICCC in just a little over a month in Nashville. So we're super excited for that as well. And yeah, with that, I think it's time to get out of here tonight, guys. Anthony, thanks again for coming on tonight. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
And this is Brown Leader signing off for the crew. And you have been listening and watching Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
Was it good for you?